into this
If
now.
I don't know about the rules, it's okay to break them, right?
Or if you acknowledge that you broke the rules but didn't break the law that the rules were based on, you're okay.
Okay. Or the rules were in place after I did what I shouldn't have done.
No, the rules were in place. You basically swore that you weren't going to.
Well,
you were going to abide by the laws.
I didn't know.
But somebody came along and told you.
Afterwards.
Yeah. Thank you, Miss Hillary Sutton. It was a bad week for her.
Yeah, it was.
I think it was a bad week, and I think there's some issues. I think, the Inspector General. Now everybody goes,
Yeah.
"Oh, who's that?"
Yeah,
it's like the
that's what I
Postmaster
asked.
General. Does the Postmaster General get a uniform? I never thought about that.
Does the Surgeon General?
Wouldn't that be cool? I want the Surgeon General's uniform. Does he show up in like scrubs to all these meetings? I don't know. The postman wearing those little shorts. And maybe he gets a pit helmet and walks around. I don't know. Anyway,
You're digressing, John.
what else is new? No, everybody has every federal agency has an inspector general who basically is charged with dealing with problems.
So is it a lawyer type person?
It's kind of like it's an investigator. It could be a lawyer. It could be an FBI agent. Could be whatever. Regulator, doesn't matter. And he came out. His report was kind of funny to me because it's like, yes, she violated the rules. Yes, she violated the rules. Yes, she did things wrong. Other people have done the same type of things. These are worse. It's really bad. Okay? And Hillary's like, well, yeah, I didn't violate the law. And I'm like, okay, maybe I'm oversimplifying this. But aren't rules usually based on laws? I mean, it's a rule that you can't drive with an open container. It's against the law, too.
Right.
But it's a smart rule to be careful when you drive. Don't drive with an open container. Don't drive drunk. Well, come on. These are...
Yeah.
Do we really need to spell this
Now,
out?
let me ask you this. Is this the Inspector General's findings going to influence the FBI at all in their investigation?
I think that the FBI wants to indict her, and they're getting some pushback.
Yep.
And then, quite honestly, I think President Obama is purposely putting her through the ringer a little bit. I think about that for a second. Maybe a little payback. Maybe a little payback. But see, it never ceases to amaze me. The whole Clinton.
Hey, wait a minute.
thing.
She's going to put her husband, if she wins the presidency, he's going to be in charge of the economy.
Don't get me started.
He's going to be in charge of the economy.
Don't get me started. Doug, we have to break. We cannot go into this now. We'll go into this
What
maybe
about
after
the gates? Tell us about the gates.
We'll go into this after the break. How's that? All right. You're listening to Gazette Radio with Doug and John on AM-1220 KHTS, Santa Clara's hometown station. We are back after this.
Welcome back, everybody, to Santa Clara's hometown station, AM-1220 KHTS. It's the Gazette Radio Hour with Doug and John, the radio digest version of the Santa Clarita Gazette for everything you need to know to be in the know.
Now, Doug, before the break, we were talking about gates.
Yeah.
I have another gate for you.
Okay.
Aside from the Whitewater,
right,
and the file gate and the travel gate and the China gate and the pardon gate and the trooper gate, we now have Perry Gate.
Perry
Smith is back. We just don't know where he was.
How did I get gated?
It's a conspiracy to figure out where you were. Perry Smith,
the former news director, and now the new news director. Welcome back, Perry.
I'm going to change your name to Perry.
It's good to be back.
Dun, 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 Perry Gate.
Oh, man, I missed it.
So what do we used to call this segment? Perry's Highlights? Or
whatever we wanted to call it. It was, hey, we're gonna talk to Perry because he's really nice and he's cool and he knows what's going on in the Santa Clarita Valley.
All right.
I think that's what we called it. That was a short working title.
I like Perry's Highlights better.
Okay. Doug, what's this I hear about you riding your bike through Hart High?
Okay,
come on, man. It's not a prank at that point.
It's
not a prank.
I didn't think I'd get in trouble. Now now I'm going to get in trouble.
You shouldn't have posted the video on Twitter.
Oh, you have to post
the video. Did you hear what he said? I didn't think I was going to get in trouble. Now I'm probably pretty sure I'm going to get in trouble.
How did you think of that?
Okay, does anybody have a problem with senior pranks? I think they're great.
Oh,
I think be smart though.
At least once or twice a week.
Well, the guy's 16. Was he even a senior?
There was no Facebook when I was in high school.
Yeah, there's no question. There's no question.
And
We stole. I mean, there was no for sale signs in the neighborhood. They were all in front of the school.
You know what's funny for me is that I went to an all boys Catholic high school, and after 4 years with no girls, when they said you can go, we just ran from the building.
Yeah.
We didn't come back.
We didn't come back at all.
It was like,
But so what? So you go to the principal. Hey, look, we'd like to do a prank. We're going to get people with water balloon or with a confetti gun, and we're going to have people sweep up after ourselves. We're going to run through the campus. We're going to wear school colors. Please let us do this. If I'm a principal, I'm going to go, okay, here are the parameters. I only want these people doing it, and you can only do it for this period of time, and go for it. Instead, the people from Valencia, dressed in black, ran around with water balloons and getting people wet, and then the confetti gun. I was like, guys,
pranks have changed since
come
kid,
on.
I guess. I don't know.
Are people getting stupider?
Yeah.
Terrorism. You're gonna call SWAT. Hey. And then the guy with the motorbike. I thought it was a good prank.
Until he ran over
praying is a
somebody's
little,
foot.
a little dangerous.
You don't
though.
run over people, and you make sure that,
I mean, gotcha, I guess. But
Remember
Yeah,
that Alice Cooper song? I'm 18. I don't know what I want.
I think
That's
it's school's out for summer.
you can just say, I appreciate.
That's where I was going. That's where I was going.
I
I'm
appreciate you said it
18.
as spoken word poetry as opposed to trying to belt out like AC.
Yeah,
Because few can.
All right, what do you got, Perry?
Man, there's been some
Well, that
news.
was
there.
fun.
I came back and just things started happening. Obviously, the tragedy of the week is this incident that happened with the Arroyo Seco Junior High teacher and gentleman who drove the car allegedly turned himself in, so that's good. But CHP was saying, it was help. There's certainly a lot of pressure from the community and social media. And,
sure.
So he turned himself in today?
Yeah, understanding is that he's not the registered owner of the car. It might have been his girlfriend's car. And there was some notification, and some people were told, and then he was, here we are. But, he's facing a very serious. I can only imagine the panic. I never think I'd hit anybody, but you come back.
Yeah.
So that's
And then you forget the tragedy on the other side, which is just insurmountable. I mean, you can't put that into words.
It's horrible.
So, John, the lawyer question, I assume he's facing additional charges for leaving the scene.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing that unless there's something else with regard to the way that he was driving, impaired, under the influence, or reckless or something,
Right.
and you can prove that, stopping is not going to get you in any more trouble.
Well, and that's, I mean, again, you're the lawyer, but it seems to me like this is definitely one of those instances where, like, if he had hit the person and worst case scenario, the person dies, but he's there on the scene, that's much less serious.
I think so. I mean, I don't know all the facts, and we're speculating.
But
so,
again,
I mean,
you're right.
It's,
We don't have
he could have been under the influence and wanted to make sure he got home and sobered up, for all we know. That's speculation as well.
Wow, you threw out some
Yeah.
wild spec.
Well, I mean,
top of spec.
No, we're gonna go both ways. I mean, if he would have stopped, would it have been better?
We obviously don't know the facts of the
Yeah.
case yet, and that's
Yeah.
important to say. We do know hundreds of kids were turning out at. A lot of kids didn't go up. Didn't show to school the next day. They canceled the musical showcase or the student showcase,
man.
and this is something that these kids. I mean, it's just tragic because these kids have been working all year to build their portfolio for this thing. Is what a parent was telling me, and then now that's all dashed, and they're dealing with this tragedy, and so I guess the Hart District had counselors on campus, which is good, and working with students. They put out some really nice memorials. We're working on a tribute, and I'm asking kids. I've already talked to some parents to call in so we can record and put together a little audio
that'd
story
be awesome.
and kind of
Nice.
share that. I think that'll be nice for the family and for the community.
And I
It
think-
helps
I think
talk about these kind of
The
things.
school district actually did a very nice job.
Yeah.
I will admit they've done a very good job handling this, which is not an easy thing to do.
Yeah. And we had another unfortunate case. The murder that happened, gosh, almost 2 years ago. I think I know I was here when Robert Arvizu was accused of killing his wife in the domestic violence incident.
domestic
She
violence
was
issue,
found. She was found bludgeoned. He's the only suspect. He's in custody. And he was held to answer the charges. So that's going to be happening in the next week or so. You're probably going to start to see jury selection
Good.
going on there.
That's good.
So yeah. And again, Domestic Violence Center of Santa Clarita Valley is an amazing resource. If you or anyone you know has an incident, contact them, reach out.
Great
Yeah,
organization.
absolutely.
And we have a new sheriff station, getting more law enforcement resources. I think that's the big.
Is it a new
big
sheriff
time
station
chunk.
or
It's going to replace the
So
old
it's gonna
sheriff station.
replace,
Brand new,
right.
state of the art, nearly 50,000 square feet. I didn't realize the old one had been there since 1972. Because people are always talking about how the west side was like onion fields in that time. But I guess the sheriff station was there.
Yeah, the sheriff station was there. But here's the problem I have is by moving it to Golden Valley, which I guess is more valley-centric,
Sure.
does it... Did we really need a valley-centric or do we need two stations?
Well, think about the logistics of. Well, it didn't make sense, I think, to have the station there and to put a new station in there. They had the land in the center point. You
Right.
know what I mean? And there's going to be a huge expansion out east, and you're going to have 20,000 homes eventually in Newhall Ranch, and you're going to have that huge metro
Right.
development out east in Canyon Country. So you have to put something in the middle of the town, and you have to give
Yeah.
people the option.
It just seemed to-
putting it by the 14 and putting it by Golden Valley Road, I thought was really smart.
Yeah.
Just because obviously.
So the exact
central.
location, it's in between Walmart
It's
and
the-
Golden Valley High School?
The exact location is basically where Fire Station 104
right
is.
where the fire
That
station
facility. They gave it the same tentative address for planning, so it's
Yeah.
going to go there.
But
But
it just seems like it. I wonder if it's... Did anybody raise the issue that maybe it's taken away from the west side?
Alan Ferdman, ironically.
Wow. From the Canyon Country Advisory.
But he can tell you a little bit about
Yeah.
more of that.
We might talk to him
goes
about
on.
that.
He'll discuss.
Maybe
I
we'll
won't
have
speak.
that on.
I'm not going to speak for Alan.
Yeah. Because I thought two stations would be a good idea.
Nah, I mean, you'd like to have 10 stations, but I mean, L.A. County's only going to pay so much, and
Yeah.
the city has to shoulder a lot of that burden when you look at it. So, I mean, are they going to finance The county's not going to pay to have 2 facilities for a population of 300,000.
Right.
I mean, we're considered lucky for what we
That's
for
true.
what we have.
That's true.
When you consider also how spread out the population is and what it would. I mean, I hear the calls for PD, and it's a lack of understanding, I think, of just how much those resources would
there's no
cost
way.
to develop and have them the same as county sheriff.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Anything else you got?
That's about the long skinny of it. There's anything
All right,
else?
welcome back, Perry.
Welcome back,
Thank you.
Perry.
Thank you. It's good to be back. I'm glad to be part of the show again. Thank
Yeah,
you.
sure you are.
Yeah.
I thought
here,
it was
John.
something about contractual obligations, I think is what he said. Didn't he say, hey, Perry, you want to come on? Oh, I have to. I'm contractually obligated. I'm sure that's what he said. I could
John,
maybe
we
I
both know I'm
misunderstood.
not friends with you for the money.
Did I? Yeah. Did I
Yeah. Wow, it's a good thing.
You didn't get. Yeah. So you're gonna start cashing the checks now?
Yeah, right?
All right, Perry. Perry Smith, everybody.
Appreciate it.
The man, the myth, the legend.
Oh, thank
Yeah, maybe not.
All right, John.
All right. So yeah. So with all these gates, it's kind of silly. But Perry did say maybe what we should do is this whole campaign thing is driving me crazy, Doug.
Why?
Well, think about it.
It's Americana.
It's ridiculous. We're left with horrible choices.
For
Okay.
instance.
Well, let's just go president for a second. All right. Okay. Now, as much as everybody's sitting there going, "Oh, let's talk about Donald Trump. He's great, isn't he wonderful?" I'm sure you think that. The other side, there's no alternative. You can't vote for Hillary Clinton. Bernie Sanders isn't going to be electable. Here's Hillary Clinton going, "Oh, I'm going to put my husband into the economic czar position." Do you know who was responsible? Time Magazine, relatively liberal newspaper magazine, daily. I mean, just the top 25 people who were responsible for the economic crash. Number 1, Bill Clinton. He was the beneficiary of the tech boom.
Deregulation.
Did financial deregulation, got rid of Glass-Steagall, did all this stuff that allowed credit swaps to be traded unregulated by the FCC.
Allowed many people to buy
the
homes
SEC.
that shouldn't have.
Oh, it's silly. And people don't understand these choices. People don't understand what those gates were. They're like, who? What?
Yeah.
I mean, what did we talk about earlier? The youngest voter in today's election?
Yeah.
Or this upcoming election?
Born in 98.
Born in 1998. Doesn't that make you feel old?
I already feel a little.
And then people forget the lower races.
Speaking of elections, we have with us the lead writer for the Santa Clarita Gazette, Mr. Lee Barnathan. Are you with us, Lee?
I am, and I got to tell you, I think George Bush deserves some of the credit for the economic boom of the 90s. I just want to say that.
Okay, that's fine. Hey, Lee, did you notice?
I'm gonna throw that out there.
Hang on.
Because you're right about the Clintons.
Before we even get started, did you notice what Doug called you?
Did I notice what?
What Doug called you? He gave you a title.
Yes, I heard. now I want to see the byline say it.
Ooh.
I gave him that promotion last week.
So, Lee, the headline on the front page of the Gazette this week is Steve Hill, resident Satanist for Senate. Really?
How obliterative. It's a great headline.
It is.
Yeah, Satanist for Senate.
It's all true.
It should say
but-
state Senate. That would be even better.
Yeah, it
There's
should
another
be
S.
because he is running. He is running for
Steve Hill.
21st state
First of all, if
senator.
I was going to run, my name would be Stephen Hill because that just sounds more right, as opposed to Stephen Hill. But a Satanist, really?
See, that's the funny part about all this is that you assume what a Satanist is and what a Satanist stands for. And Steve Hill does not meet that threshold.
So then why does he call himself
why does
a
he go?
Satanist?
Yeah, why does he go down that road? I'm confused.
So am I, actually. I think it's hurting his chances of being elected because he has to work that much harder to get people to take a serious look at him. Because when you think Satanist, you think five-star pentagram, you think goat head, you think that God is bad and the devil is good, and he stands for none of that. But
wow.
But it takes a lot of time for people to actually go to the Satanic Temple website and read the tenets. Now, I started the story with some of the fundamental tenets of that page. Does that sound Satanist at all? No, not at all.
No.
Nothing at all. It's very, very humanist. Some would say, in some ways, it's democratic. Others would say it's libertarian. But nobody would say it's satanic.
Yeah,
But
that's not.
This is the problem that he has.
Is he using this just as an attention getter? To help gain some name recognition?
It certainly couldn't hurt. He genuinely believes these things. Because remember, he also considers himself a non-believer. He understands the term atheist, and people know that term, but he prefers to call himself a non-believer. So they almost, in that sense, they almost fit hand in hand.
Right. Now, for our listeners, if you haven't seen the Gazette this week,
you should.
He is a African American.
That would be it. If you haven't seen the Gazette this week, you should. And by the way, the picture. Go ahead, Doug.
And one of his quotes he gave you was that he wouldn't worship with his mom because he never could understand how black people prayed to the same God as the white people who enslaved them. So that sounds like his foundation of his beliefs. Or as unbelief.
And that's the fact that his father, who of course would be one of his main role models, considered himself an atheist.
Right.
And couldn't. His mom couldn't get his dad to go to church.
Right. Wouldn't it be better to say I'm an atheist or not talk about religion at all?
Yes.
Maybe not have religion be an issue?
Well, you don't talk about religion, you don't talk about abortion, you don't talk about politics unless, you're in a...
Well, you have to talk about politics, but... If you're running for office,
talk about that, but normally you don't talk about that stuff.
Yeah, it's like I used to joke with some of the guys I knew that were running for city council when they're running, and I used to ask them their position on abortion, and they'd be like, "Well, it's a tough question." I was like, "No, it's not. You're running for city council. You have no position on abortion. Don't be silly.
Yeah.
You handle what you can handle." And I really do appreciate the fact that you put down what this guy actually talks about in his campaign from a platform standpoint.
Yeah, it's all good stuff.
I mean,
exactly.
He wants people treated for mental health, drug addiction, social, instead of being jailed. He wants to help small businesses start up and thrive, as he did, starting with very little and building real estate appraisal company.
It looks like he's in favor of state rights. So, Doug, I'm thinking maybe this is going to be your candidate.
No.
Okay.
Now, the one quote that he put in here that's really head-scratching is, "Every city hall has a 'In God We Trust' sign in it. I feel like I'm living in ISIS up here in the Antelope Valley." What does that mean? I feel like I'm living in ISIS up here.
He told me a story about a church in Little Rock that had a program that was helping kids and helping violent behaviors. Now, he works in the prison system. He knows what the prison system looks like, and then he wants to help kids. So he goes to the church, and he says, I want to help. I'm not that religious, but I want to help. And as soon as he says he's not that religious, he didn't even say that he was an atheist. He didn't say he was a non-believer. He just said, I'm not very religious. And he was shunned. And they never called him back, and they didn't ask him to help. And he has a problem with that, which makes sense because I go go drive around Santa Clarita, go drive around Palmdale, count the number of churches you see, and count the number of other religious buildings you see, and you will see that the majority is Christian in its various sects, and by a wide margin. You don't have 20 Catholic churches and 20 Jewish synagogues or 10 Hindu temples. You don't have that kind of a ratio. It's many to one or two. So when you live in a God-fearing area such as the Antelope Valley, and you're a non-believer, you've got a barrier to overcome that most people don't.
Wow.
Lee, I want to change the subject real quick. It was the other story you wrote in the Gazette this week, and the headline was, I don't know if this was your headline or not, but "School Bond Nonsense." And
yes,
of course,
yes, it was my headline.
Okay, I'm not critiquing it.
No, I know. You guys must have liked it because you used it.
But what was your? We only got a couple minutes.
Well, you are a lead writer.
Well, yeah. What is
I'm not the lead headline writer, though.
What is your take on this Measure E thing? In a real quick synopsis.
Measure E is a mess.
Wow, thanks for the brilliant analysis right there, boy. Wow, you only get that on the radio, our radio show.
It's a mess because no one really knows how much it's going to cost.
Right.
Yeah.
And as great as it sounds, you don't know how much you're going to be paying for later. You don't know if you're going to be paying $15 per 100,000 per 100,000 of assessed value, or you're going to be paying $35 per 100,000.
Because it's got to change because it's got to be paid off in a fixed period of time, right? Doesn't the bond have to be paid off in a fixed period of time?
Depends on what how the law's written.
Yeah.
How much time it takes, and I think it's written intentionally vague. Which is one of the other problems that I have is that these organizations that exist primarily to get these kind of bonds put on ballots. This one guy came up with 45 different 45 different bonds that he found.
Yep. Well, welcome to the initiative system.
Yeah.
It's just awesome.
Well, yeah. No, that's a discussion. That's a different discussion for a different time.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's true. California does a lot of initiative balloting more than any other state. Probably all the other 49 states combined.
Oh, there's no question.
Is that because we're broke?
No, it's because we've got nothing better to do.
It's one of the reasons we are broke, because we just keep approving and keep approving and keep approving and keep approving, and sorry, we can't afford. I know people, I'm not one of them, but I know people who, as soon as they see a bond issue on the ballot, they hit no, just because because it's too much.
Yep. Well, it's going to be.
By the way, I should point out that I do not live in this district. I will not be voting in this election, so.
Wow.
I can say whatever the hell I want.
It is going to be very interesting to see how it turns out.
Actually, we can too. We don't really. But
so.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Lee. So
Lee
much.
Barnathan, everybody, lead writer for the Gazette. Thanks, Lee.
Congratulations on the promotion.
Checks in the mail.
All right. You listen to the Gazette Radio Hour with Doug and John on AM-1220 KHTS, Santa Cruz Hometown Station. We're back after this.